A state of emergency has been declared in parts of New York State ahead of the forecast arrival of Hurricane Henri. Hurricane Grace has torn through eastern Mexico after making landfall for a second time. It's killed at least 8 people. The deaths and the worst damage were in Veracruz State, where the storm came ashore early on Saturday. The hurricane weakened to a tropical storm as it moved inland north of Mexico City, but high winds and downpours are reported to be causing more flooding. Meanwhile, a state of emergency has been declared in parts of New York State. That's ahead of the forecast arrival of Hurricane Henri. New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo said he'd spoken to President Biden, who's agreed to this declaration of emergency, which will release funds before the hurricane makes landfall on Sunday. Mr. Cuomo said heavy rain, flooding and power cuts should all be expected.
I'm going to declare a state emergency declaration for Long Island, New York City, Westchester, Hudson Valley, and the Capital District region. We're working with the power companies. I have told them clearly and convincingly, in my opinion, that this is what we pay the power companies to do, to be ready for storms. We've seen this movie before. We don't pay power companies to be ready to prepare power for sunny days. We pay them to prepare power when it's hard and to recover quickly after a storm.
Our correspondent Bachman Kalbasi is in New York State on Fire Island, which lies on the Atlantic coastline.
Clearly, the storm surge, not entirely here, but it's we're feeling its impact. The weather obviously starting to change, and this is a barrier island. So when it makes landfall, it will hit here first. Not exactly where I'm standing. The prediction is about 80 miles to the east tip of Long Island and Fire Island, which is why the governor made clear appeal to residents of Fire Island to leave, because he also thought that this could be similar to what happened in 2012 with Sandy, although it made landfall in New Jersey, the neighboring state, but Fire Island was heavily impacted with damages. We know that storm brought about $70 billion of costs to the state of New York and New Jersey. So clearly they're worried that that could happen again. And even though some people are standing on the beach, a lot of them have been packing to leave, because the only way to get back to the mainland is a ferry. That ferry service will stop in a few hours.
BBC Weather's Chris Fawkes explains what we can expect from this storm.
Hurricane Henri is going to make landfall across the northeast of the United States on Sunday. Over recent hours, this storm's been picking up energy as it's worked across the warm waters of the Atlantic Gulf Stream. It's been driven around an upper area of low pressure, and that's sending in a northwestward direction. Landfall expected around about Long Island, but there'll be impacts elsewhere. New Jersey, into Connecticut, Rhode Island and Massachusetts. Damaging gusts of wind up to 85 miles an hour, but as well as that, torrential rain will cause some flooding problems. After that, the winds calm down. The rain eventually accelerates towards eastern parts of Canada over the next few days. So Hurricane Henri, no doubt bringing back some uncomfortable memories from Hurricane Sandy that hit the same kind of area back in 2012. Damaging gusts of wind, 250 millimetres of rain. That's likely to cause some flooding in itself. But as well as that, coastal communities will be watching out for a storm surge. Well, that could be around 3 to 5 foot high, a metre or a metre and a half, bringing inundation to some coastal communities.